If the snap count is at two different positions in which I am one of the best players, if not the best player on both sides of the ball, what are we talking about? There's a lot of talk of a man that's going to play both sides of the ball. Some call him Travis Hunter, some call him, some just call him 12. And you better be safe when 12's out there. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is somebody who, when I was growing up and I was watching, I thought I was seeing a renaissance. I thought I was seeing the next Bednarik. I thought I was seeing the next Deion Sanders. When I saw Jabril motherfucking Pepers come out there in that maize and blue and absolutely act the fool, it's some beautiful thing, man. I come from an era of football watching where being a jack of trades is pretty darn cool, right? Doing whatever you need for your team used to be the coolest thing of all time. And in the eras, if you remember, of the Bud Duprees, the Shaq Thompsons, the Vic Beasleys, who am I missing? Adoree Jackson, right? The two-way player and the revival of the two-way player, not just at some FCS or MAC school, right? At the top tier. We're talking about USC Adoree Jackson. We're talking about Shaq Thompson at Washington. We're talking about Bud Dupree at the University of Kentucky, and Jabril Pepers, the man who is Travis Hunter before he was Travis Hunter. November 6, 2016. Jabril Peppers, wow, please say that right. Jabril Peppers played 55 defensive snaps and 4 offensive snaps, lined up as a cornerback, linebacker, nickelback, safety on defense, and then wildcat, quarterback, running back, and wide receiver on offense. Now, I do want to point something out. You can't say I technically, I know they're two different positions, but in 2016, you can't just say he played nickelback and he played safety. Okay, he played safety, corner, and linebacker. Okay, we don't have to distinguish that he also played nickelback. We know that he played in the nickel if he was playing strong safety. Anyway, wildcat, quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. He lined up everywhere. He returned punts. He did all types of craziness. March 5th, 2017. So Jabril Peppers in coverage from 2014 to 2016. This is as he was getting drafted, right? Because he had this, similar to Travis Hunter, he had this kind of, he's not really good at anything, but he's not really great at anything, but he's good at a bunch of stuff. So in 94 targets, he had 58 receptions allowed, 6 passes defended. Only interception was a deflection. So a lot of people were trying to poke holes in the greatness that was Jabril Peppers, but I just didn't believe it. And again, same things here. November 28-16, Jabril Peppers' final Big Ten rankings: 32nd in tackles, 34th in sacks, tackles for loss 4th, which is, that's pretty good. Interceptions 35th, rushing 44th, and then unranked in receiving yards and passing yards. So again, that's like 17 different things that you have to put out there. My point being that I think it's so easy to just say that, he was just not great at everything, instead of saying that the ability to play both sides of the ball at the highest level of college football is something that I thought, first off, we're about to see a new era of, but something that we haven't even seen replicated. We have not seen a player like this that just lines up everywhere. So 2017, let's talk about how people were looking at Jabril Peppers as the draft prospect. And then after that, if we have time, what we're going to do is actually go watch some Jabril Peppers high school, because he was an absolute electric factory there. So just want to show you just the comparisons with the chatter with Travis Hunter, because I remember that was a big thing, right? When the Heisman conversation, hey, Ashton Jettison is the best running back in the nation. Travis Hunter is in the top 10 quarterback and top 10 wide receiver. He was number 2 in receiving yards. He was top 10 in wide receiver touchdowns. He was, I think top 30 in other different categories when it came to the cornerback side. So there were some holes to point or poke into, but I think with Jabril Peppers, this was the real player that I think you could poke holes into, quote unquote. But I think at some point, when are we going to appreciate athletics just as they are, right? I'm tired of us sitting here and pointing at Cam Newtons and even RG3. I probably shouldn't be defending RG3, but we're talking about the athletic. We're not talking about the things that come out of his mouth. Please, Lord. Antonio Brown, again, someone who does terrible things, says terrible things, but we have to respect Julio Jones. Thank you. Someone who's not a menace off the field. or says terrible things, thank you. So we have to be able to respect these players, because I think we get so lost in if I could take something from Mr. Gilbert Arenas, this ring culture, right? This accolade culture, this top 10, top ranked culture. Now, should we predicate and give people value for ranking high and having lots of production? Absolutely. I don't think that we should live in a world where people who aren't ranked high don't get certain credits. But when you don't do it in one way, right? There's multiple ways to skin a cat. I do think you deserve a credit for people are talking about, oh, you can't get credit for more snap counts. If the snap count is at two different positions in which I am one of the best players, if not the best player, I'm talking about Travis Hunter, on both sides of the ball at that position, what are we talking about right now? He wasn't out there like arguably Jabril Pepers was, right? When Jabril Pepers played linebacker / cornerback, so sometimes he was not the best linebacker on the field. He wasn't the best cornerback on the field. He was the best athlete on the field. He was the best Swiss Army knife and probably the most impactful player, and they just allowed him to play very instinctual. Really what happened is, Dwayne Buchanan came along, and defensive coordinator started adding the star position back. I don't want to say they added it because star position was always there, but they started adding the star / nickelback / rover position back. And if it was 2020 and Jabril Peppers was doing this, he would have just played what Caleb Downs plays. Like that's it. He would have just been a roaming safety that's allowed to come in the box, that's also allowed to play over top, things like that. And he wouldn't have been looked at as this crazy Swiss Army knife. But we have to give him credit because he was doing it on both sides of the ball, and he was doing it in special teams. I think that's where he gave the biggest umph there. So don't just we can't get caught up in just saying that, well, he's not top 10, he's not top 10, he's not top 10. Well, tell me the other players who lined up in top tier Division I Big Ten schools trusted him to go out there as their corner, as their wide receiver, as their whatever. I think you've got to give some credit to that. So 2017 NFL draft prospect, how did they feel about safety out of Michigan? So what do you need to know? The Big Ten's Defensive Player of the Year. Again, I'm just saying, like, not to go back on the tangent that I was on, but this is what I mean. Do y'all talk about Cam Newton, the national championship Heisman Trophy winner? Because if y'all don't, if y'all just talk about him as, the guy who lost NFL MVP too, if y'all just talk about him as a dude that didn't jump on a fumble, I don't think you really like football that much. I just don't think you can respect the prowess, because we're talking about someone in Jabril Peppers, who y'all want to call jack of all trades, who was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and a Heisman finalist, albeit a bit of a surprise one. Peppers did a little bit of everything for the Wolverines last season. That list included 27 rushing attempts for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus 21 punt returns, 310 yards and a touchdown. Not bad. With the second one called back by, we're doing a little too much. Called back touchdowns. All right. And 10 kickoff returns. That's all on top of the 66 tackles, 13 tackles for loss. He was fourth in tackles for loss? That's not nothing. And 3 sacks at safety / linebacker, or wherever he's playing. He recorded as a linebacker. He played safety during the 2015 season, knocking away 10 passes to go with 45 tackles. The start of the Peppers' career was stunted by injury. He took a medical redshirt in 2014 after playing just 3 games, and it ended with him missing the Orange Bowl due to a hamstring injury. So strengths, that's what they said about him. Michigan defensive coordinator Don Brown used to talk about the flexibility that Peppers brought to the field and to Brown's defense because of how many different alignments Pepper could handle. Brown did not need to learn as lean as heavily on sub package. Peppers could do anything: linebacker and base, slot corner against an extra receiver, safety, pass rusher, whatever a play required. And I think there's some value in being able to do that. Peppers, 5'11", 213, could handle those varying responsibilities thanks mainly to his exceptional athleticism. At the combine, he ran a 4.46 40-yard dash with a 35.5-inch vert. That's not bad at all. 128-inch broad jump. I think he meant 12.8, not 128. But the NFL sorry, the NFL has seen an influx of players with similar pros and cons in recent years. Athletic freaks without a clear positional fit. I definitely think the trend will continue, Pepper said. I definitely think there are a lot more guys. It's just about their coaching staff kind of letting them do things. But one thing I will recommend, just make sure they stay on their technique. Don't rely on your athleticism a lot. I think that was one of my biggest flaws, but I'm cleaning that up and it's all coming together for me. So first off, I do want to acknowledge that, at the time, the young man who was definitely getting a lot of flack for him being positionless and or, hey, where do we play you? I think that it's so interesting because when you're on a team, like a Taysom Hill or whatever, when you're doing that on a team, the team loves you and it's awesome and it's great. In college, you do that. It's awesome. It's great. Team loves you. But it leaves you with a resume that's confusing for NFL players. And it's such a capitalist, hey, it's capitalism, baby. We just running it. It's cattle at this point. You know what I mean? Who's the best? Who's the fastest? And how can we get the best at this position? When you're somebody who, when we get to you, we have to ask the question, like you're already messing it up at this point. Now, before we even get your evaluation, right? We have to ask, well, what do you even play? Right? Like what do you even do? So the fact that he's able to understand that and understand the way that NFL GMs look at him and say, hey, look, that was something I was lacking. By the way, you got to make sure your technique's right. And by the way, I make sure my technique is right. I think that's dope for him to see that. Really good for him to kind of have that wherewithal to understand kind of how they were looking at him. So to continue, Peppers has the speed to get sideline to sideline or turn and run, but he is most explosive as a defender when he can click and close downhill. He can read plays well behind the line, then explode through a gap to finish tackles. It's that skill that also makes him a dangerous threat as a blitzer when he has a clean path to his target. There may not be a defender in the draft who covers ground faster. The mix and match background means that Peppers can be matched up with receivers, tight ends, or backs. He is not a standout coverage defender, but the experience is there. He'll be a fun piece for offensive and special teams coaches to have too. Peppers was a dazzling punt returner for the Wolverines, and he also saw carries while running the Wildcat. And we kind of talked about all the different alignments and positions that he had. There he is going crazy. And by the way, I know people are, some of y'all play college football 26. Immaculate drip. I know this is still 2016. It's kind of throwback now. It's almost a decade. But these pictures look great. He's rocking the 5. I'm not a Michigan guy, but when they switched over to the Jordan uniforms, I thought that was super clean. This game is iconic. Everybody knows the Deebo Samuel in the end zone. I was watching this while getting my haircut. I remember that's a core memory. That was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So really dope. Great photographies and for photos there. And as we continue forward, so weaknesses. He can defend. Can he defend the pass well enough to be an NFL safety? ? Is he physical enough to survive as a linebacker or even as a full-time strong safety pulled down toward the line of scrimmage? Those are the main questions that must be asked of Peppers because his 2016 Michigan experience really did him few favors when it comes to projecting his NFL future. It's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, right? Peppers himself has said he's a safety rather than, say, a Deion Buchanan type linebacker convert. Okay, see, Deion Buchanan shows up. There you go. Told you that was a. I'm telling you, I don't know. The NFL is cyclical, right? He's a Deion Buchanan linebacker convert that also plays safety, right? That's just the star position. That's just the nickel back. That's it. That's just your extra player that you either play in coverage or can help in the box, right? I mean, it's so funny that like there was some such thing as a star, and then they brought it back, and then now they have to act like it's like hybrids. But whatever. The ex-Wolverine does not have the size or strength. Wow. Okay. To thrive as an off-ball linebacker. Well, that is that is something. Of course, the problem with assuming he is a safety is that he didn't play there last season. He also did not produce many game-changing moments when he was there in 2015. The criticism of his low career interception total, 1, is a bit misleading because of his 2016 role. Linebackers aren't getting many shots at interceptions, but he didn't turn around any errant passes from secondary the year prior. There is no perfect NFL player comparison for Peppers' pros and cons. He is not as adept in coverage as a player like Tyrann Mathieu, but also not enough of a physical presence to be matched up to a linebacker. The name will settle on hints in the role Peppers can play on the next level is Malcolm Jenkins. Wow. was more of a true cornerback upon his arrival in the NFL, but has transitioned to a safety/slot coverage role and excelled. Yeah, I was about to say Malcolm Jenkins was a dog for a little bit in the NFL. So he's still in the league, right? I'll be forgetting who's where and what's what, but I know Malcolm Jenkins is a dog, and I think that's a dope comparison to get. As we close out, let's see why University of Michigan won it. Let's see a little bit of this high school tape from Max Press, Jabril Pepers. So this is New Jersey Catholic. I don't know what that means, but I mean, he's just burning through people, boy. Burning through people, just kicking up a little dust to go ahead and get a nice return touchdown. Here he is on defense, finna make something happen. It looks like, is it a pick? It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Jabril Pepers. What's he finna do with it? Oh, he chucking people. He's so stout. He's so built. Now, as this plays, oh my God, that's amazing. I do want to point out that Jabril Pepers is still in the league. He actually dealt with some a crazy allegation in a case that he beat. So he's back in doing his thing. He's even doing some rapping and stuff like that. Just to show you up top here, he's still doing his big thing, right? This was 2024. So as at the ending of last year, Jabril Peppers in coverage, 34 targets, 20 receptions, 132 yards, 2 interceptions, 6 forced fumbles, right? And the last update we had was what's it called? Him doing some rapping, and I can't play it because I don't know if it's copyright. But he's doing well, he's doing good, and he's still in the NFL. Shout out to Jabril Peppers. But this is what again Michigan saw to give him a chance to play all the roles. So as we close this video out, I just think it's a really dope trip down memory lane. I think for some people it might not be too far away. For me, it doesn't feel that far away. These are my high school days. These were the players that I was looking up to when I had dreams of being D1. I had dreams of being an NFL player. Jabril Peppers, Vic Beasley, Bud Dupree, Shaq Thompson, Adoree Jackson. These players that revived the two-way player, I thought was so cool. I think a lot of people looked at it as novelty. A lot of people looked at it as, hey, when you get to the league, son, you know what I'm saying, XYZ. And it's funny because the NBA is having a big, hey, it's too much specialized training. Well, I don't think everybody should play both sides of the ball. I don't think that's feasible, right? But I think that why not? Why don't we find some elite level athletes that can play both sides of the ball? I'm just saying, if we could have got Julio Jones a two-way contract, boy, let him play safety. Let me stop thinking. Let me just stop having too many thoughts. But that's it. This was Travis Hunter before Travis Hunter, an era of football that hopefully is coming back because of Travis Hunter, and an absolute dog on the football field. Make sure to go watch his full high school tape. Make sure to go watch some highlights and reruns of what Michigan did and what Jabril Peppers did at Michigan. Continue to be great. Like the video if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe for usual football content. Keep being great. We'll see you next time.